okay, I'm gonna start with Frost because why not? I don't know. So basically, Frost, like your gear selection is gonna depend on your talents. So like people like to talk about the unholy subspec right now because they think it's gonna be something relevant and important, right? But like what they fail to realize is that unholy subspec, even though it might outperform like blood subspec right now on the sims, first of all, the sim doesn't take into consideration the desync rotation, which is a significant boost on your single target DPS on blood subspec. It's like it's 2, 3, 4, 5% potentially. So it basically makes up for the difference between blood and unholy subspec. But what also should be considered is that the fights in Old War are very AoE heavy and target swapping heavy. So you're gonna basically like, which is where unholy subspec is gonna suffer. So you have to take all of this into consideration when you're actually considering like what spec you should go and what gear you should choose, right?
So yeah, and a question: when will unholy subspec be better than blood suspect?
Again, like I said, we can't really answer that right now because like the sims are not really the
Is it
directions.
changes all the time? But people ask that all the time.
Like right now, like I said, like if you sim it, like straight up sim it, like unholy suspect does slightly better, but I'm not even sure it works properly because the spell count seem a bit off to me. So it might be slightly better than this, but like either way, like right now it's 1 or 2% like higher on single target than blood suspect. Talking about single target fights, long fights, and only normal blood suspect, vanilla blood suspect, not desync, which is higher than normal blood suspect. So it's really not worth it right now. Like that's what I'm trying to say, because you lose on because look at the talents. You drop 5% crit, you drop attack power, you drop subversion. What does subversion do? It gives you, so your obliterates are most likely are higher crit chance, right? So your instantaneous damage is higher. Even so, like you do less obliterates, but on average, those obliterates are going to do more damage. So when you target swap, when you move, when you spend less time on those targets, you get less crit and you get less instantaneous damage, which is worse for target swapping, right? Because for this to actually bring you any benefit, you have to stick to the target and auto attack it, right? What else is there? Like the blade armor and the crit, your what's it called? Your howling blasts are gonna do more damage, right? You're gonna cleave more, and like you're gonna have like an overall easier time like keeping up with your rotation because your epidemic, you basically have like an exact amount of time where you have to use your obliterates. Otherwise, you can't pestilence properly, right? So if you're moving a lot, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
use all the benefits you gain from your blood subspec basically. Oh, unholy subspec, sorry. So like all of those fights with AoE, with cleave and whatever, and like on all of those fights where you have to like cleave on specific times, like Mimiron for example, when you get the procs when you need freedom actually,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to pestilence, like on those fights, blood subspec is gonna do quite a bit better. So and which is
Mm-hmm.
basically most of the fights in Ulduar, right? So like this simming is not a correct way to determine which is what spec is better, especially considering there is desync that performs as well as Unholy Subspec, if not better on single target, most likely better in my opinion. So like there is really no reason to run it unless you really can't or don't want to play Blood Suspect for whatever reason. So I don't really think it's relevant right now or should be something you consider unless
Cool.
you
Cool.
absolutely
Thank you.
can't play it like Blood Suspect, which is not the reason in my opinion. So on those fights, like
Thank you.
if even if is what I'm trying to say, even if Unholy Subspec is slightly like 100 DPS higher on single target, like basically zero of the fights in Old War is like single target based, like except maybe like XT, but they're like you still have like burst phases and whatever, and you have to line up and stuff. So like it's really nothing you should worry about, in my opinion. And yeah, also like Blood Suspect, like I said, gives you more freedom and it's just way easier.
Mm.
Anyways, talking about gear. So this is your like if we're talking about Unholy Suspect or Desync, this is technically your BiS set, right? We have 215 expertise, which is 26.2 or something. So we're expertise capped. Our hit is decently high. Where is it? 311. We can get more hit if we wanted to, but this is like something what you're safe with, and like it's decent, right? But there's a but. You're going for the pants here, like with the actual BiS set, which I wouldn't really recommend because first of all, they drop from Flame with Leviathan, and second of all, this is an item that Unholy DKs really want and need, and you're not gonna have Pry on those as a Frost DK. So what I would recommend is if you're going for 4 set, you go for the Helm, which is gonna be way more accessible because it drops from Thorim, which is an easier boss first of all, and then this item is gonna be way more important to Unholies than this Helm. So this is something you should go for, and it's gonna be way easier. Plus, there is Retribution Paladins on this item, on top of Unholies, and there is basically, and this item is just going to be way more accessible. So I would recommend you go on this for the helm instead of the pants, and you just go for the T8 pants, which basically no one wants. This token is going to be really easy because I think the pants are not BiS for anyone. And yeah, you basically, like, the difference is like 35 DPS or something. So you just go for the helm, and it makes your hit actually better. So you're actually hit camped as well, which is really nice. And someone saying my pants. If you steal these pants from an unholy DK, you're really an evil person. GG Pop 89. But yeah. So yeah, as you can see, like, it's really a minor difference. It's like 30 something DPS, and it just makes your life easier. So I really wouldn't worry about getting the pants. You just aim for the helm. Okay, so this is the 4-set gear, right? What else is there? There's this. You can go for this ring. Otherwise, you can go for Sis Promise. It's gonna be slightly better with this setup, but like it's simming like the hits and whatever. So like these rings are interchangeable depending on what you want, basically. So this is like your general set going for like desync or unholy subspec, right? But there is a but, right? You don't really need the expertise cap if you're going for the normal spec, so like normal blood subspec. So instead of going for 4-set, you can just drop it and go for like later on you can go for like offset, like full offset gear, which would be getting these pants and then getting these shoulders. So basically you only have like 2-set with your chest and gloves. Your expertise is slightly lower because you can go for like an agility ring or something. And then this is like your full like cleave spec basically, because you'd lose obliterate damage because your 4-set is obliterate damage. It's like, I think it's like, it rounds up to like 5% obliterate damage, I think, something like that, because it increases bonus damage by disease, by like, so like it's 40% extra obliterate damage, bonus obliterate damage. Okay, so you go for this, and this is gonna be like your cleave gear, but this actually makes you even more competitive on the gear-wise, because you actually want the pants on top of the helm. So it makes it quite annoying for the loot console. So this is something you should be aiming for once all of your unholy DKs got your pants, the pants, and the helm. So like first weeks, as a Frost DK, you should be trying to get the Conqueror's pants, because they're basically free. So you get this, you try to get like 10-man shoulders, like maybe 10-man gloves or something, and as many pieces as you can get, and you try to get your 4-set early on. That's going to help you quite a bit, basically, and it's going to be super easy to obtain the first weeks, and you're basically within like 100 DPS of your offset, basically BiS. Because if we sim this with Frostblood, I'm going to sim 2 minutes, because otherwise it's going to take forever. Or let's just do 2 iterations. As you can see, like already, like blood subspec is simming super close, and this is even without desync. So yeah, okay. So this is like your, am I correct? Yeah, this is your offset pieces, right? And if you go for like full set, you would get, where is it? Sorry. Like basically, okay. This is worse on blood subspec. Like I said, the 4-set is worse by a slight amount, but like the offset pieces are way more contested, so it's going to be harder for you to get. So that's something you should consider. Okay, what else is there to cover as for CK? Let's go over these wrists, right? These are technically your BiS wrists, but there's a lot of competition on these in the form of like unholy DKs, right? Which will have pry on this, because first of all it's BiS until ICC, and second of all it's way better statted for them. Well, like insane haste, insane strength. So this is something that unholy DKs are gonna get first. Then there's red paladins on top of this, which are a better contender for this item than you are. Because why? Because we have this item that drops from 10-man heroic Horir, which is basically within, I think, 30 DPS or something with this item. So once you go into Old War, you can get this actually first week, because 10-man Horir is going to be extremely easy to do. So this is an item you can get, and you hold it until everyone gets this one. Like, sorry, unholy DKs, and your Reds get this one, then you can present on this one. But like, you should, as a Frost DK early on, you're aiming for this wrist. Extremely easy to obtain and super close in damage. So you see, as you can see, it's like within 30 DPS, even closer actually. So this is an extremely easy item to obtain. Then there's these boots, which are extremely easy. Not extremely easy. The same situation basically. Your unholy DKs want this, and your retribution paladins wants this. It's gonna be a better item for both of them because why? Because you're coming from Old War, Next Ramus, and you have these boots already, which have insane armor pen and strength, which is an extremely good item for Unholy. Not Unholy, for Frost, and like way so the gap between these boots and these boots is way larger for is way lesser for Frost than it would be for Unholy. So this is something you get as well, which you can see is like around 80 DPS, which is basically not that much. So these two items are your basically placeholders until everyone gets the other items, and you can make the swap. Then there's this cloak. So this is technically your BiS cloak, right? But you can also opt for this one, which is going to be slightly less damage on average on the sim, but it's going to give you more hits, which is going to make your cleave and your actual damage a bit more consistent. So it's all going to depend on what you can get. So if you can get this one, you're happy, but this one is technically slightly less damage, but it's more consistent AoE, so your options are these two cloaks. Otherwise, when you're in a 10-man, not 10-man, this is like another option. This is a 10-man Mimron, I think, normal cloak, which is a decent option. What else is there? This is the 10-man Algon quest, which is also a decent option. Then there is this Ignis cloak.
And just keep in mind as well, like interrupting you real quick.
Yeah.
Keep in mind as well that like, stacking armor pen, the more you have, the best it gets. So keep
Technically,
that in mind as well.
I mean, not armor pen cell, but like the more damage you have, the better armor pen gets, because armor pen is like percentage based, and like if you're doing 15k damage, but yeah, like sure. So yeah, these armor pen this item is like technically based, but like I said, there is many options, so something you should consider. This ring, basically no one wants this ring, so like you either go for this one or for this one. As you can see, they basically give the same expertise, but this one gives hit, which is why I basically prefer it, because it's gonna make your AoE more consistent. Because this one is crit, and I would really rather have hit, because like the rest of the stats is basically the same. So you should get like either one, whichever you can, because Unholy DKs don't want this one. I mean, sure, they want it on the first week because it's a minor upgrade, but like it's not their best. So you will have prior on this one, and this one once it drops, which is a trash drop. Otherwise, your options are this ring, which is technically BiS for blood subspec, for cleave and stuff. But like it's a quest item from Algon, so you're most likely not gonna get this like anytime soon. So your options are gonna be between these two rings. Otherwise, you can get this other ring, which is from 10-man, but again, this is gonna be prior to your rogues and warriors, whatever you have in your 10-man, because it's way better on them than it is on you. Otherwise, there is this ring, which basically no one else wants either. But it doesn't have any hit or expertise, so it's not really an item we really desire. So you can do whatever. If you get it early on, it's nice, but if not, it's whatever. And then there is your BiS ring, which is pretty super contested actually. It's an insane upgrade, like the first week if someone manages to get it, because it's 84 strength plus a socket, which is 100 strength. So coming from Circle of Death, this is an immense upgrade. It's a 50 strength upgrade, plus it has hit instead of expertise, which is ridiculous. So this is going to be extremely contested, and it will most likely go to your Unholy DKs, because they scale better from strength, and they actually want that extra hit instead of the expertise. But you might have high chance to get this, because your prio is lower on the other items, like the wrists, the boots, and the pants, for example, right? So this is all going to depend on your loot council and what gear like other people in your raid have, and maybe like the other loot systems you might use, like whatever. So this is an extremely good item you should aim for, but like you might not get it early on. The boots were already covered. The pants, like I said, you're aiming for the T8 pants until your Unholies and Red Paladins get these pants, and then you can actually try to get these ones. But I'm really trying to stress it out. You really don't want to steal it from your Unholy DKs unless you're trying to be really mean, because it's really a way bigger item for them than it is for you. Because like I said, you have the T8 pants, which give you the 4 set, which is really cool. This belt is same situation as the ring, basically same item as well, same stats. So this is going to be super contested, and you're going to basically compete with the Unholy DKs on this one. It's slightly better on them, but there's no reason you shouldn't get this early on. So it's all going to depend on the other drops and the other gear in the raid. Your BiS gloves are the T8 gloves. Because of the lack of options, there is really nothing else for you to even think about, because like first of all 2 set, then 4 set, and then there's no other options. So there's the agility random stuff like this and like whatever, but like these are just better. And they're really not contested, because I'm pretty sure the rogues are gonna want If they go for 2-set, it's going to be the helm and the gloves. But because of the item level increase, they might not want to go for 2-set anymore. So they might or might not actually want these. So they might go for this item, for example, which is quite a bit better statted because of the extra hit and stats, right? So it shouldn't be really contested, right? There might be some random mage that wants these, but it should be easy to obtain early on. Then we have the helm, which is, like I said, either going to be the tier helm, depending on your luck and what you can go for, because you can actually buy this from emblems, right? Or the war helm of the champion. So this is going to be your choice. This one is slightly better if you go for the offset, but like it's really whatever. So you might or might not pass this to your unholy DKs. Then we have the neck, which you are the only person who wants this as a frost DK, because unholy DKs don't want this, warriors don't want this, they go for agility necks. So like this is goes for you, and it's an insane item. Hit and armor pen and strength. So you're really happy with this, and it's your item basically. Then we have the shoulders, which most likely should go to the unholy DK first. So you might get these from like a 10-man or something first, and then get it later, because they have hit haste, and they allow them to get the 2-set, which is also really important for them. And it's their only option when it comes to shoulders. But you have something like this if you get lucky the first week, which is your technically the other best option when it comes to your offset, right? So you might have some competition on the shoulders. The back we've already talked about, and the chest. So the chest is going to be you and unholy DKs and maybe like a mage. It's better statted for you, but they want the 2-set as well early on, so it's all going to depend on your guild. But like again, you can get this from 10-mans as well, and you might actually be proud on this. You most likely should be proud on this, so this is an important item as well. Then when it comes to weapons, so weapons, right? The Aggressive Insanity is obviously your best weapon. Now that it's 245, we actually gained a lot of DPS as first DKs because we scaled it so well with weapon damage, right? So like this is going to be an insane item, and as you can see, the stats on it are insane as well. So like red socket, haste, armor, attack power, and expertise. 39 expertise. It's actually massive. So you get 5 expertise from each of them, and there's 2 of them basically. So you try to get this ASAP, and there really shouldn't be much competition in this either, because in 10-mans, there should only be 1 DK. So even as if you're main unholy, you should be going respec into frost for 10-mans, because unholy is not really viable in 10-mans. So like there should be no competition on these weapons, except for maybe potentially enhancement shamans. But if you're an enhancement shaman, like you're most likely gonna pass this to your frost DK run, like an holy DK, because like you're basically gonna be using this for offhand, unless you go for 2 of them. But then again, you have what? What do you have? You have the Golden Serenade Dragon, which is, if you're going for the physical spec, is gonna be better for you. So yeah, so there shouldn't really be much competition on this one. Your second best option would be Cerilas, which drops from Freya. It's also an easy weapon to obtain, like I said, because no one else can use this except for Frost DKs in your raid. In your 10-man, which is a 10-man drop, so you should only have 1 DK and it's gonna go to you. What else is there? Then there is all the other weapons from 25-man normals. So, Volmir and Malice, right? These are great weapons. Solid upgrades from your next weapons, of course, because they're item level 238 compared to your 213 weapons from next. But they're way weaker compared to the other options, because you're losing a socket, weapon damage, and weapon speed when it comes compared to Aggressive Insanity. So these are weapons you will get quite easily, because no one else can contend on them, because it's swords and maces. So rogues are not going to want this. Unholy DKs will want them, but they don't have prior over you because those are weapons. So you will get those as soon as they drop, basically. Yeah. So weapon-wise, you really have an easy life in Eldor. So you're getting those as soon as they drop, basically, they're yours. Sigil, right? Sigil, right? It's an important thing. You already have your BiS Sigil, but there's an option, which is, where is it? Vengeful Heart, which boosts your Frost Strike. So this is something you're going to use on Horir, because your Frost Strikes actually scale better on that fight because of the fire thingy, whatever it's called. What's it? The fire camp, whatever. It basically gives you, it's basically magic damage which Frost Strike scales with. So this might or might not be better on that fight, depending on how it's implemented. But otherwise, on pure single target, this Sigil should be better, unless you do Sigil Swapping. Oh, that's another topic, probably for like an hour-long video. But there is thing you can do with Sigil Swapping. For example, if you, for instance, you hear, if you basically,
Yeah.
like delay your, not delay, if you basically group up your obliterates and your frost strikes, so you basically do like once you obliterate, you do it at the same time. You do 2 obliterates in a row. So you use it with this sigil, then you sigil swap to like this sigil, and you do like 3 frost strikes in a row. Then it might be DPS gain because it's 1.2k I think per frost strike. So if you do it correctly, you don't clip your melees too much, you don't clip your global cooldowns too much, it might be DPS gain. But this is like extremely hard to implement, extremely hard to execute, and it's minor gain. So you might or might not want to use it sometimes. So
What a
yeah,
pain, mate. What a pain.
I don't
What
really,
are you
I,
putting me through?
I don't want,
Now I have like people with forks and knives coming after me too.
I don't want to get into this because there's situations when you can make it work, but it's so super ass. But either way, it's not gonna be required for you to get 100 parts because I don't think there's anyone who can like realistically execute this properly, and like there is more important stuff for you to worry about. So, Sigil of Awareness is most likely gonna be your best sigil because even I think I've done
Oh,
math. I've done your math. Even if you have like twice as many frost strikes as obliterates, which is not possible. Like I'm talking about fights when you get like insane running power gains. This sigil is still not going to be better because Sigil of Awareness just scales way better than this one. Because I think it's in Old War it's 2.6k average damage per obliterate. I think on average when it scales because it's like 1.1k from a main hand obliterate and 1.4k from your offhand obliterate because your offhand obliterates gain more from this because it's retarded and basically it's like your offhand obliterates are not sigil buffs are not reduced by offhand penalty and are in fact increased by the nerves of cold steel, 25% damage increase. So your offhand is increased higher than your main hand would be, which is kind of retarded and most likely is a bug on Blizzard side, but it's how it works and makes the sigil absolutely ridiculous. So you're keeping this one. Okay, the last thing when it comes to Frost is Trinkets, right? So Greatness, you're still keeping this. Um, yeah. There's no. I mean, you already have it. There's nothing. Where is it? There's nothing for you to worry about here. The second closest option to Greatness would be Comet, but I'm pretty sure it's around 30 DPS, 30 DPS behind or something. And as you can see, yeah, the 30, 40 DPS. And it's like, why would you, like, first of all, you don't have prior on this, and second of all, why would you replace it by a worse trinket? So, yeah, Greatness stays, and yeah, you're keeping it. And there's, what am I doing? And there's really nothing you should worry about on this slot. Your other best trinket is going to be Mjolnir, which is an insane trinket now. I mean, it always has been an insane trinket, but now even more so because they increased the armor pen proc by like 85 or something, which is ridiculous. So now it's even more ridiculous than it used to be, and plus it's 115 crits. So this trinket is insane. So you're taking this. You might have some competition on it, which is only going to be Fury Warriors, unless you have like some random feral, but fuck ferals. Who cares about ferals? So you're gonna take this trinket and keep it for quite a bit. It's gonna be most likely gonna be based on Old War as well, in TOC as well, depending on the fights basically. Because AOE and not AOE, you might use Greatness instead, but most likely gonna be BiS until ICC. Because in Old War, on TOC as well, you don't have that much armor pen, so this trinket is gonna be fully used with all its whole proc, and it's quite hard hitter. So easy trinket to get, and insane value. Otherwise, your other options are Dark Matter. I mean, your other only option is Dark Matter, basically. But I'm pretty sure it's like really close to Grimtal, so it's whatever. So you just try to get this one. Because there's other people on Dark Matter in your rates, which are going to be like Enhancement Shamans and Rogues, which have higher prey on than you did do on this one. And Comet is just out of your reach as Frost Decay, because there's Unholy Decays, there's Enhancement Shaman, there's Rogues who will have higher prey than you. So you're never getting this, basically. So yeah, Mjolnir Runestone, you get it, and you're tranquil, as you would say. Okay, yeah, that's gotta be it when it comes to Frost gear.